Well, ESPN's making a prediction about the Georgia-Florida State game, the Orange Bowl. I love these articles. They are completely ridiculous. So I chose to talk about it today. And what I mean by ridiculous is, you're going to write a paragraph. We don't even know who's playing in this game yet for either side. But whatever. I mean, it's just what we do. It's entertainment. They've got the Noles losing 28-17. Uh, look. I'm not even. Complaining about the result. I don't know how you arrive at a score though. That's always a challenging thing about picking games, and we pick games each week. But like picking the score of the game, like that is really challenging. I don't know how a person arrives at that other than you go to see what the over under is. And take it from there. Let me see how close they are. Yeah, it's exactly the over under. That's actually pretty smart by the writer. But it doesn't have the Dogs covering. Georgia's a 14-point favorite in this game. It's been 14, 14 and a half. I've seen 13 and a half, but not lately. But there's some really good games this fall. This winter. I'm not sure this is one of them. I don't know. Georgia will have bought all the tickets that they're mandated, I guess. I don't know what the best way to put it is. That they are allotted this game, but I don't know how many people are going to go down there. And now I don't know how many Florida State people are in Miami. Florida's such a strange state that Miami is not Florida. Miami's Miami, and so I don't think there's a lot of Noles down there. But I would imagine there would be more Florida State people at this game than there would be Georgia. But who knows? I know I don't know. I think that 28. I mean, that seems low to me for Georgia to score, just to be honest. But I don't know a lot about Florida State. I've not watched tons of Florida State. I know they didn't get into the college football playoff. I don't know if you've heard about that or not. I know they didn't deserve to get in. I know they weren't one of the best four teams, but everyone's fully triggered about that. They do have a very good defense. I don't see where they've allowed more than 30 points this season at all. They gave up 29 to Boston College. I mean, if you want to get in the college football playoff, here's my advice to you. Don't go to Boston College and win by 2. Don't go to 8-4 Clemson and win in overtime. Don't beat whatever Miami is 7-5. Yeah, they're 7-5. Don't beat 7-5 Miami by 7 at home. Don't struggle against the Gators, and don't only win your conference championship game against a not great but adequate Louisville team by 10. I mean, Georgia should be in the playoff, but there's an explanation as to why they're not in the playoff, which is they lost their conference championship game. If they play that game any other time of the year, and let's say they play Alabama at the beginning of the year, Alabama's not. I mean, everybody knows the rules here. This is not complicated. If the complaint is Georgia one of the most four deserving to get in, the answer is no, because they win their league. Now, these leagues are not created equally, but that's another story for another day. For Florida State, they're saying, well, we won all the games that we played. Who'd you play? LSU? That's your best game? I mean, Georgia's played 3 teams better than LSU this season. And beat 2 of them. How many has Florida State beaten that well? Well, they got their shot with the Dogs coming up. And, ESPN's got this as a 28-17 win for Georgia. You could tick that up to, say, 31-14, something like that. Florida State scoring 17 on this Georgia defense with their current quarterback situation. They are averaging, I think, 15 point. No, excuse me. Let me make sure I got the math right here. Yeah, they're scoring 20 points a game without their starting quarterback against Florida and Louisville, who are not in there. That's not the same universe of Georgia defense. Like, we got to be honest about it. So, Florida State's offense scoring 17 points. I don't know about that part, but these are bowl games. You just can't, you can't ever know what you're sort of getting into from one game to the next, and they will be, those will be challenging situations for both these teams because, you can't know who will play, or at least we don't know yet. I mean, Florida's defense is not great. Louisville's is fine. I don't think it's anything unbelievable, but it's not. None of these, you know, these are not at the level of. I mean, Florida State, what they're going to see on the defensive side from Georgia, they haven't seen that this year at all. Um, and LSU's defense is horrific. Duke, I think, but well, this is going to be the best defense that they play. I don't need to go through the list of teams. I mean, this is who they played: Southern Miss, Boston, LSU, Southern Miss, Boston College, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Duke. I'm going to stop right now. Duke is the best team they played in that stretch of time. Now Duke fell apart, but at that time, in the first sort of 7 games, Duke was the best team that they had played. They won that game by 18 when the Duke quarterback got hurt going in the fourth quarter. They were losing that game, if I'm not mistaken. Someone else can correct me. These are not these teams are not good teams they're playing. They're just not. Southern Miss is not good. Boston College, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Wake Forest, Pitt, Miami, North Alabama, and the Gators. Those are not good teams. Like, there's no confusion about it, nothing. And so I'm with Paul Feinbaum about the outrage. The outrage about Florida State is just kind of, it's not kind of silly. It's completely silly. Check this table out from EcoPoly. You don't just do chairs. This is the River's Edge coffee table. I have a higher height table. This table is awesome. I put all of the photographic gear that we use at games on it. You can check that all out below. It's made of completely recycled plastics. It's got a 20-year warranty, made in the heart of Georgia in Dodge County in Eastman. Make sure you're checking that out. Our friends at EcoPoly today. I wonder if they'll make it's not a short trip to Miami, that's for sure. But we've got everything booked. We'll be down there ready for this game. Florida State scoring 17 to me seems high. I know that sounds bizarre. It just, I mean, I will readily admit that saying someone won't score 17 points is bizarre. But, the only teams this year that have scored 17 or more against Georgia, and it's not only, there's a few: UAB, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Florida, Missouri, and Georgia Tech, and Alabama. So 7 teams. Now, how many of their offenses scored that many points? Auburn, Vanderbilt had a first and goal from the 1 to get over 17. Florida scored, I think it was on the last play of the game, to get from 13 to 20. Missouri totally earned all their points, no doubt about it. I said 17. Ole Miss scored 17. Tennessee scored 10. Georgia Tech 23. I mean, I think Tech just straight up earned those points. And Alabama, of course, scored more than 17 for sure, but 3 of their 27 points came from a turnover inside the 10-yard line. If you're Georgia, you don't want to lose games like that, or you don't want to allow points. Maybe you don't turn it over inside the 10. I mean, that happened multiple times. I mean, the Vanderbilt game, the Alabama game. I don't think UAB did that. I'm trying to remember how UAB scored their points. One was on a turnover for sure, but I can't remember that. But you get my point here. I mean, Georgia's allowed in the other games 7, 3, 14, 13, 17, 10. I mean, some of these offenses, Ole Miss, Tennessee, these are pretty good offenses that, certainly Ole Miss, and they scored 14 points. So if the stereotypical discussion point right now is that Florida State can't score without their quarterback, well, then how are they going to score 17? So I don't know that is a realistic way of looking at this thing, but it always is, entertaining, I guess you could say, to read or at least see the headline. I did read it. I thought it was actually the first line in the I wouldn't call it an article, of the paragraph was great, talking about how the oranges could be sour. That's decent writing. You don't normally see that out in the world. Normally, we're just people like me giving their hot takes, which is, probably going a little bit too long. I wonder how many of these people giving these takes actually go to the games or watch them, or we're just watching highlights. Seems like there's a lot of highlight watching. I do want to add too about the Florida State, sort of every person that counts on votes these days is out here getting up in arms about Florida State and so forth. Listen, why don't you guys just try to do what you're really supposed to be doing rather than being concerned if Florida State is not getting put in a 14 playoff like this is some sort of real travesty in the world. And let's get back to being serious.